Well, hello. We haven't done one of these for a while. This is What This Week, where I talk about just generally what I've been reading, watching, listening to, and anything else that's come up. I really haven't done one of these for ages, so I'm not going to fill you in on the whole backstory. But just thought we'd have a wee chat and catch up a little bit. So it's currently Shorty September. You may have seen I made a perfectly lovely TBR and did the tag video and was really looking forward to it, but my reading's been really kind of like funky over the summer, I would say. So I've made this perfectly good TBR and I have read other stuff instead. So yeah, don't really know what's going on there. Normally when I make a TBR or a list of books for a readathon or something, I'm a bit of a completionist. I like the sense of achievement of kind of ticking them off and working my way through them. But I'm just, even before September, I'm really being pulled to mood read, I guess is how you describe it. Am I a mood reader now? So yeah, I've been picking up other stuff, but I think that's okay. Still some short books in there, so we're just kind of gonna have to go with it, I think. And I'll show you what I'm currently reading in a minute. The other weird thing that's been going on with my reading over the last month or so is normally I'm a one physical book, one audiobook girly, and kind of like to start something, finish it, move on to the next. But I really needed multiple books on the go, and I don't know what that's about. I had a bit of a flare-up of anxiety in August, and I'm wondering if it's linked to that, like not feeling able to kind of like keep my concentration in place for a long periods of time. So I'm literally at times like reading a chapter of one, putting it down, reading a chapter of another. My brain is coping with that miraculously. I never would have predicted that, but it's kind of what I need at the moment, and it's keeping me reading. Maybe that's something that would help with what otherwise might have been a slump, I don't know. But it's a new experience for me. It's a bit strange. So I've currently got 4 books on the go. I have had 5 at one point. Yeah, I have had 5 at one point. So yeah, everything's kind of gone a bit strange. But we're still reading, and yeah, I think that's okay. We'll just kind of go with the flow as much as possible. So what I'm currently reading, let me tell you about those. Actually, before I do that, most of the books that I've read and loved over the summer, I've read in reading vlogs, so you can see them elsewhere. But there was one book that I haven't read in a vlog that I really enjoyed and wanted to tell you about, and that's The Book Game by Frances Wise. I pre-ordered this earlier in the year, and I think it came out in June. And I wanted to read it over the summer because it gives a kind of like summer reading vibe. It's about a group of friends who get together for a reading retreat or a writing retreat, and in like this big kind of summer house, and they all have like secrets that they're hiding from one another, and that kind of obviously gets exposed over the course of the few days that they're together. I really liked this. It was such a good time. Frances Wise is a pseudonym for I think they're husband-wife. It just says Frances Wise as a pseudonym in the back of the book. I did look it up. I think they're husband and wife. Anyway, a man and a woman have written this together. I didn't know that until the end. There's nothing kind of disjointed about it at all. It was really cohesive piece of writing. Yeah, so this is a mystery, but it's not like a murder mystery, and that's what makes it, I think, a really good summer read, because it's gripping in a really gossipy kind of way. I'm somebody who has like a guilty pleasure for gossip, but is also tries to be really kind, and so any legitimate excuse to kind of indulge, you know, kind of exercise that muscle, I guess, like listening to the podcast Normal Gossip, for example, is a way of exercising that without actually hurting anybody and being a dick. But this I found another way of doing that. So yeah, it's more, the stakes aren't as high as kind of like death and destruction. There is a death in here, like a historic one, but that it's not the focus. It's not kind of like a murder mystery. But all of these characters come together for a kind of like worky, they're all kind of academics, they all come together to work and write at one of the professor's summer houses over the course of 4 or 5 days, I think. And they all have these secrets that, like as I say, are exposed as they spend time together, and everything kind of unravels for each of them. And it was just a lot of fun. The characters in here are so well written. They were so vivid in my mind's eye, and you know, for the most part, you just love to hate them. There's some real arseholes in here in the most kind of delicious way. Yeah, I thought this was really, really good and a super summer read. Really low stakes, but really page turnery, and yeah, just a really good time. So that's one that I would recommend. So yeah, moving on to what I'm currently reading. Off my Shorty September TBR legit is The Bookshop by Penelope Fitzgerald. This is about somebody who opens a bookshop in a community that doesn't want them, or doesn't want her, I think. I've literally only read the introduction so far, so I've no idea whether I'm going to like it or not. I read Offshore by Penelope Fitzgerald over the summer and quite like that, so I've got high hopes for this. And this I'm reading for the prompt of Half and Half Shorts because there's a book, there's a movie adaptation, as it says all over the cover. Yeah, next up I am reading Payday by Cecelia Walden. This is a kind of trashy thriller, I guess. I'm reading this because I got this in my book advent last year, and I thought it sounded reasonably interesting because it's about 3 women who have a grudge against a guy. He dies, and then it's kind of figuring out which one of them did it. And I'm reading it for Kayla's or Books and Lala's buzzword readathon, because the prompt for September is to read a book with a event word in the title, so I figured Payday is an event. It is for me. Yeah, and I've literally only got a couple of chapters left of this now. It's been fine. As much as I enjoy a thriller, I enjoyed this one. I haven't loved the representation of some themes, and I can't say what they are without spoiling them, but yeah, for the most part it's been quite good. There's some kind of like some twists and turns, nothing that's made me kind of like gasp in shock, but it's been entertaining enough. I'm also reading on my Kindle, because it's a NetGalley ARC, Pick a Colour, and I'm really enjoying that. This was one of the ones that I was excited for as a new release this year. I think it's out in the middle of September. It's out this month in September. It's giving me, and it's another short book, so counts for Shorty September, although it wasn't on my TBR. I'll find a prompt to make it better. It's about a woman who's working or running a nail salon, hence the title Pick a Colour, and it's kind of her inner thoughts, and she's working with 2 other kind of colleagues, and it's about kind of customers coming and going, and her, what she presents to the world and what's within and what's in her past. It's really reminding me of Convenience Store Woman, that kind of really familiar domestic, is domestic the right word, but really familiar setting. So instead of a convenience store, it's in a nail salon, and the kind of like tasks and things that are really recognisable that come with that. But layered behind that is all of this kind of like inner stuff that she's reflecting on, and it makes it really quite poignant. Yeah, so if you like Convenience Store Woman, I'd recommend trying this one out, but I'm really enjoying that so far. And then the last book that I'm currently reading is Bitter Honey by Caryl Lewis. Caryl Lewis wrote Drift, which won Wales Book of the Year maybe 2 years ago. It was very good, and this is her new release. It's about a woman who's, oh hang on, I don't want to give spoilers, let me just check the blurb. Okay, no, it doesn't say in the blurb, so I won't spoil it. It's about Hannah, whose husband dies right at the start of this book, or husband has died, and her sister comes to visit and help her, and her husband has left her 11 letters as part of the will. He was a beekeeper, and there's like 11 sections in a beehive or something like that, so that's why he's done 11 letters. So the letters are kind of interspersed throughout the book, and they reveal a really devastating secret that Hannah wasn't expecting, and that's what the story's about. This is fantastic. It's so beautifully written. It's one of those books that does the character work really well, where not a lot is said but so much is seen in terms of what they're feeling. Hannah is quite a stoic person, and she is furious and hurting and grieving, and she says very little, but you feel all of that kind of like maelstrom of emotions that are going on. The writing is beautiful, capturing like the work around the bees and then in the orchard, and it's just snowed. It's just stunning. One of the things that I have been desperately kind of like looking at for the last year or two, or looking for really, are kind of literary fiction books that can be read at Christmas, because I like a seasonal read, but so many Christmas books are either murder mysteries or romances, and yeah, I just wanted books that happen to feature Christmas, and then that would kind of fit that vibe, but still within the parameters of the kind of books that I like to read. So, and I might do a video about that nearer to December. Sorry for mentioning the C word so soon. But this has Christmas in it, so if you're also looking for those kind of books, books that you know that you'll enjoy, and books that you would probably pick up anyway that happen to feature Christmas, this is one of them. Yeah, I am absolutely loving this so far. I'm not quite halfway, but it's just lovely, and I'm quite happily making my way through this fairly slowly. The chapters are very short. Another one not on my Shorty September TBR, but I think it probably will count. It's not that long, 227, so we're going to say it counts. So that's reading going on at the moment. In terms of what I've been watching, for the most part in terms of TV, we have been rewatching The Walking Dead, or rather I have been, my partner hasn't watched it before. So we're making our way through that. That's keeping us occupied at the moment. And yesterday we went to see The Roses in the cinema, which was great. Benedict Cumberbatch, and I think I've got a massive crush on Olivia Coleman. She was just so brilliant in it. The Roses, sorry, is based on the War of the Roses. It's one of those stories that's been turned into adaptations over and over and over again in different guises. So I think Mr. and Mrs. Smith is loosely based on it. Maybe A Star is Born, like two completely different films, but also kind of like follow some of the same plot points. And it's really made me want to read the book. So that's going to be the thing that I do next. It was really funny. So it's about a married couple whose marriage is kind of falling apart, and in this film it gets nasty. So yes, it's very funny. The insults that they kind of throw at each other it's funny, but also like really it still managed to kind of like strike some meaning, and yeah, it still managed to kind of like make me think about relationships and the way that we behave and what we say and don't say to each other. Yeah, it was really well done. I thought it was great. It was a good time, and yeah, I heart Olivia Coleman very much, and also want to rob her wardrobe in that film, like all of it. Yeah, so that's watching. In terms of filming, I've put up a couple of reading vlogs recently, and like I said, Shorty September TBR and tag. Next up, I'm planning to do a reading vlog where I read 2 dystopian fiction books and do a dystopia-off. So one of them is The Significance of Swans by Rhiannon Lewis, and I think the blurb on that says something about it's like The Road by Cormac McCarthy if it was written by a woman. So I'm going to read the 2 of them. I'm going to read The Road and The Significance of Swans, and we'll see which one comes out on top. I've been watching bits and pieces of BookTube. I feel like I'm not quite like up to date with watching everybody who I love watching's videos, but I'm trying to kind of like keep dipping in and out. But there are two really standout, like really fantastic videos that I wanted to share with you. One is by Kevin's Novel Advice, and he made a video. He makes such good, like really niche recommendation videos. I think his concepts are just so much fun. But this one was pairing T's with books that end in TY. So it was such a clever idea, but he absolutely nailed it. It was so much fun. So pairing different types of tea, like matcha or Earl Grey, with books that end in the letters TY. Yeah, it was super fun. I will make sure that that's linked in the description below. And the other was a video that Nick from Cranky Pants Reads, Dr. Cranky Pants Reads made, and it was called Reading That Hurts and Why We Need It. It was basically talking about, in a much more in-depth way, why we read books, or why we should read books that make us feel that kind of like hollowed out feeling after reading them, and how we, through reading, we can kind of like shed versions of our own selves and grieve those past selves and let them go and move on into something new. But in all of that mess and anguish sits something really exquisite. He explains it far better than I do, so please go and watch that video. It was the existential crisis I didn't know I needed. And then the only other thing to let you know about before I take these dogs on a walk, because they are eyeing me as if to say, why are we doing this first before we've had our walk? The only other thing that I wanted to update you about is I've been doing a tarot course. I love me a bit of tarot, but I've always taken a kind of like scattergun approach. Like I've done a few kind of like hour or couple of hour long courses or workshops. I've read a couple of books, and occasionally I'll like look stuff up on the internet and just dip in and out of different kind of tarot decks, and I didn't feel like I was really getting to grips with anything, and kind of didn't feel like I was having much of a consistent approach. So half of it I got as a gift for my birthday, and the other half I've paid for. I'm doing a course with Treadwells, which is a bookshop in London. And it's online, and it's been 8 weeks in total, and we do 2 hours a week, and it's been fantastic. It's been, yeah, I feel like I've achieved, I feel like I've broken through whatever barrier it was that was getting in the way of me kind of really connecting with the cards and understanding. I knew that I didn't want to go down that route of like learning the meanings by rote, because I don't believe that's how you should read, and that's probably not my vibe, but I hadn't quite found my own way, and this has really helped with that. So I think I've got 1 or 2 weeks left to go, and it's been really super. So yeah, if you're interested in anything like that, they do loads of workshops, lots of them are online. I'm doing another one later on this year, I forget when exactly. But they do loads of different courses, different things. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, I'll link Treadwell's events and stuff in the description as well, and you can have a browse. The other cool thing about it is that on the same course as me is a fairly famous author. I haven't actually read any of her books, but her new book I have seen everywhere on Instagram. I don't want to say who it is, because she's not there as an author, she's there because this is something she's personally interested in, and that feels very unfair, but it's been very cool. And it's, what's quite funny is we're kind of opposite, so she's very comfortable reading for other people but not for herself, and I'm the other way around. I'm very comfortable reading for myself but not so comfortable reading for other people. So yeah, that's been super fun. So I really must read her book before the end of the year, and then I don't know, maybe you can have a look at my Goodreads and see if you can work out who it might be. Well, that's it. That's all I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you're looking after yourself, and I'll see you again in the next video.